Hello, and welcome to another episode of Winning Where It Matters. My name is Kyei Amoako, and it's a pleasure to have you here with me again. Years ago, I learned a way to say things to reflect more of a positive angle, and some people call that positive self talk. But it was this idea of instead of saying something like, hey, I am broke, I would say, hey, I don't have a lot of money at the moment, right? It was more of instead of saying things a way that defines who I am, I acknowledge where I am at a point in time and make it more forward looking. That did a lot of good to my mindset, right? It helped me look at things with a glass half full kind of mentality. And I thought it gave me a little more momentum and it shaped my mindset in a way that I liked. It just gave me more control over situations. And that helped me. And more than the vocabulary choices helping shape my mindset, I've also come to learn about how the way we say things also helps other people hear us as we intend. So I'll give you an example. When you tell a child that's running across a busy street and you say, don't run, what you're telling the child is stay there. But the child doesn't hear don't, she just hears run. And so they starts running. So right, you intended to let them stay there, but you said don't run. And they heard run. And so they started crossing the street doing exactly what you didn't want them to do. Now, the reason I want to bring this up is this has a way of putting hurdles in our communications and people misunderstanding or mishearing things that we say. And so I want to offer some thoughts for us to consider so that we say what we mean, so that people have a better opportunity to understand this. So then there's a, a lower likelihood of being misunderstood. The reason that happens, the reason that when we say things a certain way, people hear us a certain way is because the brain has a way of processing words and things that come through our ears to our brain. There's such a thing called negativity bias, right? The brain is trained, the brain naturally is looking for threats. And when it hears threats or sees something that are threats, it reacts a way to protect us. So when it hears certain words, when there's certain negative things, there's a bias towards that gets the brain to just kind of like panic, right? And hears just the part that lets it sense threat. So when you use words that have certain, it signals some of those negativity, sends those negative signals to the brain. That's what happens. So for example, if I said don't fail, the word fail signals a threat. It signals like something is going to happen that you don't want. And so the brain hangs on to that. Whereas I said don't fail, the brain doesn't hear the first, it just hears fail and realize hey, something is going to happen here that I'm not going to like. And so panics. But if I said do well or do your best, right? It's the same thing, but just because I didn't use the word fail, I'm giving the brain room to not hang on to a negative word. Another example could be instead of telling you, don't forget to bring your homework, and I say, remember to bring your homework. Because I said, don't forget, the word forget has this connotation of something didn't go well. And so your brain immediately gets into this panic mode and doesn't hear exactly what you're trying to say. It hears forget, and then it starts kind of getting distorted. So instead of saying, don't forget to bring your homework, I will probably say, remember to bring your homework. Another reason words sometimes get lost, the meaning of things get lost is the brain has a way of dropping um, negative words or negative qualifiers like don't, right? So you say, don't cross the street, the person hears cross the street. If you said, I don't like that, they hear like that. So this happens. And because of these things that, and again, it's elevated. It's even more elevated when we are under stress or we are in a situation of anxiety or fear. These negativity bias and these cognitive dropouts of dropping words like don't from when you say something, those get elevated. So as much as we can, think of a way to say things the way you want to say it. And this is an idea called reframing. It comes with, for example, dropping don't and saying the words that represent what you want to see happen, right? So doing that, and also avoiding certain words that spark this negativity bias. So I wrote down a few things that I think could be examples to illustrate this point of you saying what you want to say. So, for example, if I wanted to say, I hope this doesn't go wrong, I hope this doesn't go wrong. Now, that sentence, even though you may mean well, just immediately signals like you have some thoughts that this may go wrong. You may want to say, I'm planning for this to go right, because then you're replacing the word wrong with right, because that's what you want to see happen. The other thing that we say often is when you say, I hate it when this happens, right? The word hate is so strong that it overshadows everything else that's happening in there. Instead of saying, I hate it when this happens, consider saying, I prefer that so and so had happened, right? It's just a little bit of a twist and a reshaping and reframing, but it goes a long way, and it will feel a little unusual when you try to do that, but practice it. The more you practice those things, things could happen. So instead of telling somebody, hey, don't shout, you could say, hey, speak calmly. That has a way of letting the person be less defensive, because it's going to say, I'm not shouting, but they are shouting. So if they're shouting and you want to say, you say, hey, could you please speak calmly, right? Another example is you're in a meeting and somebody interrupts you. Instead of saying, hey, don't interrupt me, because they don't hear the don't, and obviously they're going to defend themselves and say, I'm not interrupting you. You could say, hey, could you please wait your turn, right? So these are just some examples about how you can reframe. It helps you think on what you want to see happen, and it helps you communicate what you want people to do, and it minimizes the opportunities for you being misheard. I hope you found this episode helpful, and if you did, please hit the like button, share it so others could also benefit from this. If you have not subscribed, I highly encourage you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You may have heard me talk about an event that we're doing here in Columbus on November 21st. Yes, we're excited and looking forward to being there in Westerville on 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. So if you have not RSVP'd and you are in Columbus, do that. RSVP and join us over there. Share with people you know, so that we could all hang out and learn and connect on purpose. My name is Kyei Amoako, and it's a pleasure having you here. I believe in you, and I hope you believe in yourself too. I'll see you on the next one.